Hauntcast.
Haunting, Halloween, and horror.
Interviews with haunting gurus.
Be prepared to haunt or be haunted, as I am joined by Toby Wrolson of Haunt 31. Toby.
Yes, Chris.
Good to have you.
Excellent talking with you.
You know, I feel bad because I think I asked you about this interview about a year ago, and I completely forgot that you got back to me and told me that you wanted to do it. And I was just kind of going back to an old list that I had of haunters that I wanted to talk to. And then I said, Haunt 31, Toby Wrolson. Oh, shit. I was supposed to have him on here like a year ago. I hope you didn't feel slighted.
Well, I replied back, and I thought, boy, either he blacklisted me already or he forgot about me. So it's good to hear you forgot about me.
Anyway, so let's go through the basics we have. It's you were the 2008 finalist for the Best Yard Haunt for the Haunters Video Awards, I believe. And then you were also the 2007 Haunt X finalist for the Best Indoor Haunt. You lost to Brent Ross, and you lost to Darkwing Manor.
Those are pretty decent people to lose to.
Absolutely. By the way, I spent some time hanging out with Brent Ross this weekend, so he's a great guy, and I've had both of them on my show before, so they're just phenomenal haunts. So if you have to lose to anybody, man, you're in good company.
Well, thanks.
I saw on your website that you had won something, though. You won some award.
We moved to this Lake in the Hills, Illinois in 99. In the first year, I had a couple tombstones out in the yard and a couple just static dummies out there. And always been a fan of Halloween, but just being the first year here and new homeowner, I didn't want to get too crazy. And I actually spent the first Halloween we lived here working on finishing our basement. And somebody came to the door and said, hey, we love your display, and did you know the village has a contest? I came running upstairs, and what do you mean there's a contest? So looked into it a little more, and for the year 2000, I upped it a little bit, and I redid the graveyard, and I added some more static bodies, and I had some thunder and lightning, and I upped the ante a little bit, still just kind of on my own. And I tied for scariest yard haunt. I'm like, what is this tying stuff? So that was the bug that bit me. I got online, I started searching, I found two scary guys in their website, and I read that cover to cover. Started with my first pneumatic coffin jumper and a pneumatic grave jumper, and I sat by the window waiting for the judges in 2001. And when the lady screamed and ran down the street, I said, I got it. And from that point on, I think I was winning the village contest every season. So after a couple of years, I actually started just calling and forfeiting. And in fact, for a few years, I was even making custom tombstones, the Lake in the Hills scariest haunt or cheeriest haunt, and I would donate them to the village. That way, not only would the winner get the $20 or $25 gift card to a local restaurant, they'd also get a tombstone to put in their yard, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. Okay, now you are a member of the Chicago Haunters, is that right?
Correct. I believe it's Haunt Club Chicago.
Haunt Club Chicago. Okay. Excuse my ignorance.
No, that's okay. I'm a member of Haunt Club Chicago. The Old Methods of Madness. There's a whole list. I mean, like most of us haunters, where you find something new and you got to join it. So, Haunt Forum, Halloween L, and you name it, I'm probably in there somewhere. Haunt Club Chicago was actually started back on one of the Ironstock trips, probably a good 6 or so years ago. Deanna Witchy Poo actually had said, hey, I'm up in Ohio, or I think she's Michigan, and there's a lot of Chicago haunters. I think we should try to get together. And so we kind of started the group up, and it's slowly grown. Every year we do one large prop build. Generally, I'm the instigator and say, hey, I want to build a skull erector, and I'll research how to do it and sit down at SolidWorks at work, and I'll draw the thing up, and we'll make sure that mechanically it works, and then prototype it usually out of wood. And once we know that it works, we'll buy some metal and get going.
I saw that prop and I was like, that's phenomenal. That's a fantastic prop. And I tried to find more details on how it was built, and I didn't get any further. Is there a how-to that you put out on that, or no?
Well, in my head there is, and actually on a couple scraps of paper there are, but I'm not a web guy. I can, due to my Halloween obsession, I can build almost anything. I can weld almost anything. I can mechanically design and come up with ideas or reverse engineer almost anything. But I stink when it comes to web design or web pages or updating my website. And so does about all the members of Chicago Haunt Club. We got some great computer programmers, great programmers, great mechanical engineers, but really no one's big on the whole web thing. So we just haven't been able to put together how-tos. I've gone as far as, again, I draw up a lot of stuff in SolidWorks at work, which is a three-dimensional drawing program, and you can actually see how the mechanics work. You can save those as HTML pages. So I've gone as far as have full-blown blueprints for each assembly, each individual component, ready to lay out there. I'm not unwilling to share. I just don't have the knowledge.
For the mechanism on that, you are using what, like a scissor mechanism that so it shoots out 3 or plus feet out of the coffin?
Well, the coffin one is really just a 4-bar. That's a fairly simple. I took the Two Scary Guys design. They have I think what's called a body slinger on their website, and they were doing it with bungee cords, or I think it might have been a air ram from a door closure or something. And that might be great for some people, but I'm kind of safety conscious. Well, okay, I'm overboard on safety. I make sure that there's redundancy in the props. I make sure that if I have a sensor and it's unmonitored, that there's a backup sensor to make sure that not only does somebody trigger it, but it won't trigger if they're too close to it. I'm pretty big on making sure I'm not using pneumatic door closers. I'm making sure that we're using name brand stainless steel cylinders and
I don't do that anymore either. I still have one prop in my basement that I had made a couple of years ago that I used a door closer. And like I say, after all the trouble of hacking it and everything, it's only a couple of dollars more just to buy the damn cylinder. It just doesn't make any sense to hack it when it's only a few dollars more and it's going to be safe. Now, as far as the Great Lakes Fright Fest is concerned, what's the deal on it? Give me a little detail.
Karen and Brian put on Great Lakes Fright Fest. It's out in Petersburg, Ohio, which, to put it in a reference point, it's about 10 miles or 15 miles directly north of Toledo, Ohio. So it's considered Michigan, Petersburg, Michigan, but it's just over the border. For us, it's a straight shot out into Ohio, and we just kind of cross the border and we're there. It's at a campground. It's a private campground, so we can pretty much do anything we want because Carl and Joyce, the owners of the campgrounds, are excellent hosts. They put up these 2, I'm going to ballpark it as 100 by 100 tents, and they divide it up into 10 by 10 rooms, and haunters from all over the country bring their stuff and set up these haunted houses along with a big courtyard and facade, and pretty much Friday, Saturday, and, deep into the evening, we're setting up a haunted house. All day there's prop demos, there's make and takes, there's how to repair your foggers. There's really, anything somebody can teach, we're doing all day. And then usually right after dark, they open up the campgrounds, and for a canned food donation or $1 donation, you can go through the haunted house. And usually it'll go to midnight, 1 o'clock before the last person gets through. And they raise quite a bit of food and money for the local food bank. We also collect pet food. And I think last year we had something like 600 or 700 pounds of food for the animals. I'm good friends with those folks, and so I run a drive at work. I work for a large manufacturing company, and for a month or so before, I'll put out the call. And I think last year I brought just over, a little over 1,200 cans of food with me, which did wonders for my gas mileage.
Yeah, I can imagine. I also hear that when you show up, you come in with a trailer full of pneumatics and whatnot, and you're doing demos and all kinds of other cool stuff.
Yeah, I jumped in with both feet. In fact, even Iron Stock, when I started going out there, I jumped in with both feet. for Fright Fest, Karen had said, hey, we can decorate these rooms, bring your stuff. So I loaded up a 4x8 trailer, and I took it, and in fact, I took 2 10x10 rooms the first year. And I did that for probably 2 or 3 years, and then I stopped doing rooms. I started helping other people with them. But then they had a campsite decorating contest. Well, what campsite doesn't need pneumatics? So I usually set up a whole graveyard with the pneumatic pillars that we use in our haunt, a couple crawling zombies, barrel spitter, whatever I can throw on there. Up the trailer just for this particular trip to a 10-foot landscape trailer. And the last couple of years I've been setting up the site for that and just having a lot of fun with it.
So if anybody wants to get in on it, they just go to the Great Lakes Fright Fest website. Is it .com? Is that right?
It is. It's GreatLakesFrightFest.com. Typically, they get it started to update right after Transworld. So if it isn't updated already, it will be very soon. And it's a lot different for the people that have been to Hauntcon or Transworld or Ironstock. It's a different type of event. It's more of there might be 300-400 people there, but it's everybody's a family almost. It's really laid back. You're just kind of hanging out at the campground by the fire. You're putting your Halloween stuff together. Even though all the other events have prop demos and they're very friendly with each other. This is just
it's family. It's family.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to your haunt. Give me some of the details in your haunt. Are you doing a full walkthrough style? Is it just your front yard? What's the deal?
Well, it started as part of the front yard, and it moved to the front yard entirely and the side yard. I started to work my summer landscaping around, convincing my wife to, hey, we need a flower bed here. And ultimately it would end up being a wood chip walk path so that you could get further back into my yard. That's worked out for me pretty well. I do the entire inside of a 2.5-car garage. I'd like to go to the backyard, but that's a battle still brewing. So we've had to move to the roof, the front porch, pretty much anywhere I possibly can.
You got kids up on your roof?
Well, mostly animated pneumatics.
How do you get them up there? I don't understand.
But I've noticed over the years, people really like things that move. I mean, any haunter will say, hey, boy, look, I have this great display, which there's a tremendous amount of talent out there. But yet, you make something move, and it doesn't have to be a startle. It could just be somebody, something subtle, and somebody sees that and goes, wow, did that move? Boy, that is, you got them. They're there for the long haul then.
I guess people are like me. They like bright, shiny things.
Exactly.
They can fixate on. And you do provide quite a few.
Yeah, I pride myself in building it all. I love going to Transworld. I love getting ideas. I'm mechanical. I'm not artistic. My idea of painting is grab me a can of spray paint and some dry brushing. I don't have, I don't know if it's the attention span or just the desire, but I don't have that ability to take a piece of newspaper and make it into a beautiful piece of art. I just can't do it. So I love going to Transworld, and I'll buy the latex bodies, and I'll buy, the what I call accessories. And then I'll come home and I'll incorporate those into some kind of a scene. I'll animate them. I will make them have sound. We'll throw computer programs into them. We'll add lighting, touch-up paint if we have to, whatever. But that's the extent. And we've added quite a bit. I think we're up to close to 30 prior to this year.
What are some of your premier animatronics, like your favorites?
Well, one of my favorites is probably the Skelerector that we have on the side of the house. I built it, again, the Haunt Club Chicago group. We put together the Skelerector build. I wasn't happy with just having something lift off the ground and, jump up in the air. So I actually incorporated into a set of cellar doors, and the doors do the typical bang, 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 and there's chains on the top, a light from within, there's some fog in there. Next thing you know, the entire lid with the two doors will lift up, and then the Skelerector will jump out. It has sound, it has lights, like you said, big shiny things. Kind of annoying to the neighbors because it does bang every night for almost an entire month. We set up, typically we're open the first weekend in October, and we will run it every single night as long as there's not a hurricane until November 1st.
Do you have actors? Is it all just animatronic, or do you have people helping you out?
No, we have actors. We have a little bit of everything. We have a pretty good crew that helps set up. I'm very organized, so I will stage things mid-September. August, I'll be bringing things home and painting and putting them in the backyard. September, I'll be staging what items go with what props. And then really, the last week of September, we'll have a group of anywhere. There's probably 3 diehard helpers, short of my wife. She helps as well, and she's required to. But I have 3 guys that really, they come. One is a maintenance person at the manufacturing plant that I work at, and he helps with wiring of sensors and making sure that pneumatics are still working after a final, a year. And it's good to have that because I can say, hey, Frank, go work on that, and he does. I have another person that, unlike me, is very artistic. So he does touch-up painting and corpsing and making things look cool or scary. I have another person that is the hardest worker you could ever want. You can say, hey, Tom, go dig a hole, and he'll be halfway to China before you tell him to stop. The guy just works and works and works. So we put together a pretty good crew for setup. Probably 2 12-hour days, and then every night for 3 to 4 hours every single night to get things hooked up and working just as it stands now. And that's after staging and getting things preloaded. Then once it's running, we've got a different set of people that come, and they like to dress up and do the acting. And I leave it open. I don't. The whole haunt is free. We don't charge anything. We don't really. We say, hey, if you want to give us a donation, which doesn't seem to work out too well, but I do it. If 3 people showed up, I would do this. It's a hobby. Any haunter will tell you it's almost a sickness. I need a 5-step program to cut it back at some point, but.
No,
it's
12,
really
you need a full 12 steps. You got to go. All the way.
Probably,
5 steps doesn't cut it.
Yeah, I probably do. Yeah, but you're not hurting anybody. I really, it's your passion to do it all year, and we do it. And then I said I got a second group that'll come in, and they love to do the acting. They will dress up. We have some internal rules. You can't chase anybody down the street. You can't, if a little kid is screaming. Step back, leave them alone. If it's a baby, take off your mask, explain to them that it's not scary. Because I don't want to traumatize somebody to the point of never wanting to come back or not enjoying Halloween because of something we did. But that said, teenagers are fair game. I've got guys that have been known, parents will tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, my teenager is going to get in the car in a minute, you want to come with? And the clown will be in the back of the SUV and pop out, and girls will be running down the street. It's just good, clean fun. And then I have a crew, again, including my wife, for teardown. And even though it might take us a week or 2 to set up, we will start Halloween night at about 11 p.m., and by the time people drive by in the morning, I would say 80% of the display is gone.
Your neighbors at that point have probably had enough of your antics, and even if they enjoy it, they want it gone once Halloween's over. So it's probably
that's my thought. We work really well with the village. We write letters to the police every year, asking them to put no parking signs on the street, which they usually accommodate us. I have the cell phone number of the chief of police. He has my number. We've been in contact before where they'll call me if there's a problem versus sending someone out, if there's a complaint. We just want to make sure that we're not annoying. It's meant to be fun. And if it's not fun for my neighbors, well, then it's not fun, for us as well. So we're always handing out gift cards to help them with the candy for the kids, really anything we could do. Every single day for the month of October and the first part of November, we walk the streets and pick up every bit of garbage, every cigarette butt, anything out there, whether it was from us or not, because we feel that we invited these people to see our display. The least we could do is to make it enjoyable and not cause you any, grief.
I never thought of that. This year I'll be out there walking around with my idiot stick, stabbing trash. what are you doing for numbers then? Like over the course of the entire month, how many people are you pulling in?
Well, I've upgraded recently. Every single sensor that I use to set off my props are all laser retroreactive IR sensors. So it's a laser beam, but it's still an infrared sensor. And I have extra ones around the haunt that don't set off props. Instead, they run counters. And then I average the numbers. This year, we had 9,903 people come for the entire month.
Wow.
And we had 4,327 of those were on Halloween. So to put that in perspective, I mean, over almost 50% within that one, 6-hour period from 2 until 10 or whatever the village allows for trick-or-treating.
Dude, there's pro hunters out there that would be loving those numbers.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm on the forums and I listen to the after notifications and stuff from all the home haunters, and hey, I had 100 people, and hey, I had this, and I used to post and say, hey, I had this, but it almost sounds unrealistic. Yeah. But unless you're here, my good friend Jim Hoffert from the Haunt Show Club Chicago, he also runs the Nightmare Before Halloween haunted display in Algonquin, Illinois. He actually came out on Halloween evening and just stood there like with his mouth dropped open going, this is unbelievable. And I'm like, see, unless you're here, you just can't fathom the amount of people we have. I wouldn't give it up for the world. I love it. We just make sure that everybody's safe. On Halloween, I actually have people that I work with. I mean, they're hired by way of beer and pizza, but probably a good 25 people here just to make sure nothing happens. I don't want fights breaking out. I don't want people, people are a funny bunch, and anybody who works with the public will tell you that people are strange. And we just got to make sure that the strangeness doesn't get out of control.
Let me ask you, just to wrap things up, what do you have new planned for this year?
I have a list. Transworld actually changed that list quite a bit, but some of the things I'm running out of space, so I want to improve some of the older props. We have a witch theme that's always been static. This year, I really enjoyed the Scare Factory witch that they had there, and I may either modify mine to kind of resemble that, or we may break down and just say, hey, let's buy something again, but I haven't decided yet. We're going to redo that scene. I'm going to put some 3X of skulls incorporated this year. Really don't know. I have a bunch of stuff written down. It's just, like anybody, budget and time is going to dictate how much we can actually get done.
And you had a good time at Transworld.
Excellent time. It actually, I think, was one of the better years that we've been down there. The show as a whole, I think, really, I didn't see any electric chairs there. I mean, it was all new stuff. Years past, a lot of it's been kind of the old, been there, done that. I forgot who Brett from DC is paired up with, but they had 3 booths there, which I think this is his first showing. So to jump in with both feet with 3 booths, wow,
yeah,
great job.
He really did. He went in there with Steve from Fright Theater.
Right, and I've been going to Transworld for, probably 9 years, when it was in Chicago and St. Louis, and the show has definitely changed. Back in the day, I run a side business. I have a handyman repair business on the side, so I have a tax ID number, and I was always able to get into the show and buy things. But in the past, the minimums sometimes push the home haunter out. Even if you get in, boy, minimum $500. Well, I don't really need 50 of those things. I think the economy has made it where any sale is a good sale. So as long as you legitimately can be there and they're willing to sell to you. I love the fact that people like Kevin from Gore Galore have, they've grown from a garage operation to, you had 2 sides of the aisle this year. I mean, it's just so much fun to see how these people have grown.
All right, Toby, so if people want to get in touch with you and they want to, they have questions for you about how to put something together, build something, or they just, want to get in touch, how do they do that?
Well, the website's haunt31.com. Email on there is haunt31@fbcglobal.net. Anybody, send me a note. I mean, I'm listed on most of the large search engines like Haunted Illinois, and I think Haunt World has us on there, and really anywhere that you look, I think you can find us. And there's always an email. I'm very good and open with anything, with anybody with questions. I'm not afraid to help you out. I get kind of tired of how do you build a ghost when that information's out there. But I'm still going to answer you. It's a little harder in October when there's 9,000 people roaming around. But the rest of the year, I'm willing to help you out. And if they're local and they want to join the group and they're really into Halloween, same thing. Send us a note. We'll get you included.
All right, Toby, great having you on the show. I really appreciate it. It was great meeting you at Transworld, and I will catch you around the net.
All right. Well, Chris, great seeing you. Hope to see you at some of the other shows. And, I'll hopefully be talking to you soon.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.